On New Year's Day, I accidentally went viral teaching people how to solve Rubik's Cubes, and within less than a week, I had a brand deal signed. And as someone who builds businesses and helps people build businesses, I want to use this new kind of accidental venture to share with you guys in real time the process that I use to grow businesses to $10, $15, $20,000 per month and beyond. There's a lot of people who will make videos like this and who will talk about brand deals, and they'll say like, yeah, you have to reach out with these types of email templates and you find emails doing this type of thing. None of that is helpful for you if you don't have the basis of that I'm telling you about, because having this is what qualifies you to make revenue from a brand or from anyone else. It all started with this little cube right here. In 2025, I learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I walked through the steps of how someone could use the beginner's method to solve a cube for the first time. The first video in that series has almost 8 million views right now, and overall, my TikTok has over 20 million views since I posted that video. So yes, I have found some success there, but just going viral doesn't mean that you make a lot of money, especially because I wasn't even monetized on TikTok when that first video went viral. I had like 3,000 followers, and really most of my videos were getting like 50 to 100 views before the Rubik's Cube content. And so even if you don't have a big channel, even if you don't have like any type of business stuff set up yet, I think this can be a really good example of how you could start from scratch, especially if you want to pursue brand deals. And I'll also talk about why brand deals was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do with this particular business rather than something like courses or coaching or physical products or anything like that. So my name is Lily. This channel is where I document my financial freedom journey and bring you guys along with me. I've been running my own businesses and making content for the last 6 years. And every single week I host a free Build a Business Planning Lab, which is a live call on Zoom that you can come to help figure out like what interests and ideas that you already have and how they might turn into a business and additional income streams for you. So the link to sign up for that will be in the top comment. So the first thing is the concept of going viral, which I think I've heard a definition of like if you have 10 times more views than your typical average, that's considered viral. But in this case, I'm just gonna say a lot of people who didn't know about you before now see you on their feed. And the problem is just going viral doesn't automatically equate to having a business for sure, and it doesn't even automatically equate to getting income. So what do you need to have in addition to just a lot of views? Well, the first thing is that on a platform like YouTube, where I'm already monetized, immediately when I get a lot of views, then those views are gonna come along with AdSense. But on TikTok, I was not monetized, and I had always heard that the amount of money you make per 1,000 views, which is called your CPM, on TikTok is way lower than on YouTube, and I found out to be true. Like I said, I started off not monetized when I posted that first video with about 3,000 subscribers or 3,000 followers, and I thought that I needed 10,000 followers to get monetized on TikTok, but in actuality, when I got to like maybe 5,000, then I just got an alert that I was monetized on TikTok and like, here, go to join the creator rewards program, and then I started earning. I don't know if that was because I went viral or what was happening there, but I did get monetized on TikTok before getting 10,000 followers. That said though, that CPM difference is really, really big. So like on YouTube, I've had videos that make $15 to $30 per 1,000 views. And so let's just say, geez Louise, I almost broke my phone. Let's just say on a, where's my calculator? So how that would work, I'll record my screen here. So how that would work on a platform like YouTube is, let's say I got 8 million views, right? Which I've never done on YouTube. Let's say I got 8 million views, and you're gonna divide that by 1,000. 8,000 is the what number that you would get paid off of in terms of the CPM. So if my CPM, even on the low end on YouTube, is like $15, I would take that 8,000 and I would multiply it by 15, and that would make me $120,000, which would be insane. But I've never done an 8 million view video on YouTube. The most I've ever done on a long form video on YouTube was like $750,000. $750,000, I wish, 750,000 views. So if I take that 750,000 views, divide it by 1,000, that equals 750, and then if I multiply that by 15, that's like 11,000, which is accurate to what I've made on my most popular video on YouTube. Long form, monetized at about $15 CPM. Now, on TikTok, my CPM, I'll give you guys a second to guess, it's kind of crazy, is like 22 cents. Not $15, not even a dollar, 22 cents. So that same 8 million views that I did on TikTok divided by 1,000, so I get my 8,000, and I multiply that by 0.22 for my 22 cents, It's about 1760, which in actuality, I don't even think I've made that much. I'll check, but I think I've made like maybe like 1,000, maybe 1,200, maybe it's at that now. But honestly, it's not something that I keep a huge eye on because the CPM numbers just aren't that significant, and that is the best performing video I've ever had as a content creator, which made me just over $1,000 in a month, which is good, but it's not the financially free life that most of us want to live just coming off of the CPM. So that's the first thing, is like, if you're going viral, especially with short form, it's not going to be a on-platform monetization play that takes you to the next level. So instead of just hoping to get paid from the platform, it's really going to come down to what you do with those views. And for everyone that I help build businesses, we start off focusing on like, what are your skills, what are your passions, what are your experiences? Because the easiest thing to create value around is something where you've already gotten a result that you can share with someone else. And this does not always have to be starting an online course or becoming a coach. It absolutely can be, but it doesn't have to be. There just has to be some type of expertise that you are getting known for. So I'll give you an example of what that doesn't look like and what that does look like. I've gone viral before on TikTok, not this viral, but I've gone viral before. One time I was in the airport and I heard like this commotion happening as I was walking past one of the gates. And as I looked over, I realized that the person who was talking to the gate agent was deaf. I took sign language for 3 years in college, and I was also a teaching assistant my second 2 years for the entry course. So I can get by with sign language. I would not say I'm absolutely fluent, but I can absolutely get by and communicate. It would just be relatively slow in like basic signs. So when I saw that this person was having trouble communicating, I didn't have to like rush to get to my flight or anything. And so I went over and I just signed to them, "Can I help interpret for you?" Which is a very common sign that hearing people learn when you first start learning sign language. And they said, "Yes, please." And we went through the process and I helped them to communicate and get where they needed to go and all those things. And they were very grateful and it was cool. I made a TikTok about that experience because Southwest ended up giving me a Good Samaritan discount on my next flight. They gave me like $150 off of my next flight, which I thought was cool. So I made the TikTok talking about that and how I think sign language should be offered in more schools as a foreign language alternative, you know, for kids and anybody, really. So I went viral off of that TikTok. Again, at the time that I went viral, I was not monetized, so it didn't make a difference in terms of like income from the platform. And I also have no expertise in sign language or in like changing curriculum or anything like that. It's not a focus of mine, right? So it wasn't something that I was going to become known for, that I was going to build a business around. It's the same thing if somebody goes viral for dancing or for a prank or anything like that. It's very hard to turn those types of things into a business that you can continually rely on. This is the first step in what I call like the skills ladder. So you want to go viral for something that you have a skill set in, something that you have an expertise in. Because once you do that, then you can take it to the next step, which is thinking about what result are you getting that other people want. And the clearest one is like with the Rubik's Cube. I could solve a Rubik's Cube and other people were like, teach us how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And between having a skill and being able to get a result for someone else is a system, is a series of steps that you know that someone else can follow and therefore they can get that result. And so that's what I shared in the TikTok. Boom, boom, boom. This is all getting to brand deals in a second. But it's really important that you have this skills ladder because that's what actually qualifies you for revenue. So once you have the system, which is the step-by-step process that someone else can follow, if they follow it and also get the same result, that is what qualifies you to make revenue. And this is the same in any type of business. It can be an information-based business about how to solve a Rubik's Cube. It could be an entertainment-based business. I was just watching one of my favorite creators, Kev on Stage. I was watching his podcast. He has a system for making people laugh and keeping people entertained, and that's the result that I want. So he's qualified to make revenue. It's the same for somebody who's selling a physical product. I came across a TikTok shop ad the other day that got me because it was like a specialized cleaner for like your water bottle, which has like all the nooks and crannies and the straw and stuff, and there's like a specialized cleaner so that it doesn't build mold. It's like, that is a system that gets me the result that I want. So there has to be something that someone else can bite their teeth into and get the result that they want. And I typically break those up into like information, services, or physical products. And when you have your viral moment, or if you're planning and like trying to get a viral moment, you want to value virality in one of those things that you can help someone get a result for, rather than just going viral for viral sake. Which, if you do all of that, brings us to the point of, okay, I have the skills ladder, I have a skill, I have a system, and it can get other people results. What do I now do to make revenue with it? And this is where I didn't wait for brands to come to me, because I knew that eventually, with the type of numbers that I was doing, I would get some brands reaching out to me, but I didn't wait for them. I did put my business email into my bio on TikTok. It wasn't there before, but I thought it was important once the channel started to get more eyes that I put it there. Then I started to source emails and contact info of brands that I thought would be a good partnership. And this is where you want to understand that every business functions on the same 3 priorities, and they have to follow them in order. They first have to get noticed. People have to know the business exists. Then they have to get known, AKA building trust, and then they have to get paid. And your value as a creator who's gone viral or who has a big audience is in the first 2 steps. It's that you have done the work of getting noticed, and in an ideal world, because you've gone viral and because you've got noticed by so many people, you've also built a lot of trust with those people. Your value to the business is basically shortcutting them not having to get noticed and get known on their own. You've done it for them so that they can now swoop in, take advantage of all of those eyeballs and goodwill that you've built, and then get paid. And that is what you are going to get compensated for. And so when I was doing outreach, I wanted to go directly to specifically cube brands, and shout out to my cubing sponsor, which is Speed Cube Shop. You can see their logo right there. And of course, there'll be a link in the description to check out the partnership page that they set up for me, so you can see how that looks. But I wanted to go to the cubing manufacturers because, one, a lot of people in the comments were like, dang it, I don't even have a Rubik's Cube, but I want to try this. I'm going to order one. So that was specifically requested. And 2, it was like the closest money-making opportunity for a brand to take advantage of the viral moment that I was having. It was just like, people see the Rubik's Cube, they don't have a Rubik's Cube, or they don't have a quality one, they want one. And so while I am continuing to expand out and think about other partnerships that, might be good, the easiest ones you're gonna get are the ones where you can make them money the quickest because they're gonna say yes to it the quickest. So I put my email in the bio, and then I started building a list of brands that were as close as possible to the money-making opportunity. So then I started the outreach process, and this looked like going on Google and trying to find out what are the sponsorship contact info, like email addresses that I could find for these different brands. And most of them are not that hard to find. I honestly also, just for every single brand that I'm interested in, I do sponsorships at thatbrandname.com, help at thatbrandname.com, support at thatbrandname.com. And a lot of times the support email will get back to you fastest and say that they forward it to the partnerships email. Of course, you never know if they actually do, but it's a good practice just to try and get in touch in that way. You can also look on LinkedIn. You can look on Instagram for like brand pages and send outreach that way. So what does the outreach actually look like? At first, I was going to do my typical email-based sponsorship outreach that I've done for past brands, that I've done for clients and students that I work for. But my mom actually had a really good idea, was to take what I was saying in that email and put it into video format, because video, I think, is easier and more likely to be consumed, like a short form video. And it would also allow me to show the visuals of some of the progress and the comments and the results that we were getting. So I put together that sponsorship video. But regardless of if you're going to do an email, a video, whatever, a DM it might be, there's a couple of things that you want to hit on. First is you want to share like who you are and what your expertise is in. And second, you want to communicate in some way the work that you've done to already help move the business through that get noticed and get known process so that they can get paid. Now, that's just my framework. That's like what I call it. So don't necessarily use those words when you reach out to them. But you want to share like, these are the number of views that I've done from this particular audience. Here's the next step that they're interested in, and how I think your business can help them to take those next steps and how you can benefit. Some people say like, make your outreach all about them. which you do want to share, like what is the outcome that you think would be best for them, but they also need to know about you. Because like anybody can share like, hey, if you get more sales, that would be good for your business. Like, yes, thank you. But you want to share like why you are the person to help them get more sales. So specifically in the outreach that I was doing, it was about all of the people that were asking me what cube I was using, where to get cubes, what's the best quality, how to pick one, all of those different things. The other thing is that I personally do not accept product for post type of agreements, and I made that clear in my outreach. And what that is when a brand just sends you products and therefore you post about it and, direct people to go buy it. And so I did get some cubing companies that reached out and were like, hey, we'll send you a bunch of cubes, and if anybody buys from the videos you make featuring them, we will give you an affiliate deal. Now, could I have made money and accepted them that way? Yes, because I would have talked about them, some people would have bought them, maybe a lot of people would have bought them, and I would have gotten an affiliate deal, which is like a percentage of every single sale would come to me. The reason I don't do that is because, one, first and foremost, making content, like posting videos, is work. And I believe you deserve to get compensated for that work. I believe I deserve to get compensated for that work. In the first 14 days of January, after going viral and starting that series, I made 80 something TikToks. And that is hard work that you deserve to get compensated for. And that is why I structure my partnerships as an upfront payment, which you can think of as like a production budget. So this is the money you get paid for actually making the content. And then second, as an affiliate portion, which is what you get paid in addition for every sale. Now there can be some up and down, there can be some movement in negotiating, maybe less upfront for a higher affiliate, maybe a lower affiliate for more upfront, right? You can think about those different structures. But those two things I think are important. And the second reason I don't do pay for product is because even if you don't make any sales, you are still helping that brand to get more noticed and get more known. Think about if they wanted to make their own social media content, right? They would pay someone to be in it, they would pay someone to film it, they would pay someone to edit it. That's 3 jobs right there that they would have to pay for. And you might be the person doing all 3 of those jobs, right? So for them, they have a marketing budget, or they should. They have a marketing and production budget that if they were going to go out and try to get those same amount of eyeballs as you are getting them, they would pay up front for it. It's not like they go to the TV station and say like, hey, I want to make a commercial, and if it makes any sales, we'll pay you. No, they pay up front for that. And so you deserve to get compensated in the same way. And third, this is a smaller thing, but not all sales are trackable. And so for me, I think I have a 7-day attribution window, which means if somebody clicks my link and then within 7 days they buy something from the site, I get my affiliate deal. Well, there may also be a world where somebody clicks my link, saves my TikTok, but then comes back in 30 days and just types in the name of the brand rather than going through my link, and they make a purchase. And that's not a purchase that I'm gonna get paid for. And that's okay, there's no perfect tracking or attribution out there, but having the upfront payment does compensate for those things that aren't trackable, or even the people that purchased before I was able to get the affiliate link and get it up in my bio, right? So there's a lot of kind of things that go around it, but that is how I structure my deals, where there's a portion up front, and then there is also an affiliate deal on the back end. The next thing I think is really important is be a good partner. I think there can be this energy in negotiations where it's you versus the brand almost, because in a certain sense it is, right? It's the brand wants to get, to some extent, as much as they can for as little as they have to give. And you, to a certain extent, are also inclined to think the same way. How much can I get for as little as I have to give, right? I'd rather get paid to make 5 videos than get the same amount to make 500 videos, right? So there's this spectrum, and most of the time, each party is trying to land towards the more favorable end of the spectrum for them. And so you can kind of feel like you're at odds a little bit. But even if there is a little bit of that energy, once you sign that deal, really do think about it as a partnership. Because at the end of the day, once you're partnered, success means the same thing for both of you, which means generating revenue and creating happy customers or people who have a result that they were looking for and they're happy to get it, right? There's so many people who have been messaging me and saying, I got my cube in the mail today, it's super nice, I love it. That is the positive end result for me. That's the positive end result for my partner. And the more I can focus on getting positive end results for both of us now that we're partnered, the longer this brand deal is going to go on. I've had brand deals in other businesses for years, right? For 4 or 5 years. And it's much better to have a long-standing brand deal that continues to grow and snowball on itself than to have one brand deal where maybe you got 10% more than you thought you could, like you really pushed hard in the negotiation, but then you weren't a good partner and they never do another deal with you. So just remember, at the end of the day, success mean the same thing for you in the brands, so that you guys can be aligned on the outcome. In the next video, I'll tell you how I almost got scammed during this process, because there were a couple of brands that reached out, and yeah, next video. Don't forget about that planning lab. It's linked in the description below.